Fox News contributor. Erika Donalds from America First Policy Institute. I've heard of it. And Emily Compagno, co-host of Outnumbered, author of Under His Wings. I just want to, this first thing, whatever the numbers are, Trump is very popular, and his noms are, I think, skating through or sailing through. They had people, Scott Bessent was so good today, Democrats were leaving the hearing room well before the hearing was over, right? Because they didn't have any dirt on him, which is all they ever do. And he's skating through. They threw their best stuff at Hegseth. He won fine. They threw their best stuff at Pam Bondi, and she slammed him right back. There was medical triage on that. So it's just interesting. Emily, I want to start with you on this point. Trump, at the height of his popularity, great numbers. The noms are sailing through. The Democrats are just so slinking off into the night.
And you couple that with President Biden, who has the lowest approval rating, matching his lowest ever in his presidency, and with his exit farewell speech last night, that to me read almost like a to-do list without any nod to an actually actionable item that he had accomplished as commander-in-chief. No mention of COVID, no mention even of, obviously, the disastrous withdrawal in Afghanistan. So to that point, I think everyone is seeing that the fortunes are changing, the tide is turning, and the fact that President Biden had the nerve to say, is that a joke? When asked about the Hamas-Israel peace deal and whether President Trump deserves any credit for that, just shows how absolutely out of touch they are and shows the hubris that he continues to cling to, his defensiveness he continues to cling to, along with Jill Biden saying, I can't believe I've now discovered human nature, and the betrayal of Nancy Pelosi. No, simply they put party over person, which I wish Biden had done years ago.
Liz, you didn't think much of Biden's speech, from what I gather.
I really didn't.
I myself didn't see it, I must say, but...
Shocking. It was so self-referential, all platitudes. I never have liked Biden's speeches. I think they're just full of puffery, and they never mean anything. It's all about defense of democracy, but what's he really talking about? But last night was weird because he got into this whole thing about the oligopoly and oligarchs and how that's what we really have to be afraid of. He's afraid of so many things. It's hard to remember, but we know we're afraid of climate change, but we're really afraid basically of Elon Musk. I think that's what it comes down to. And the fact that the whole tech community has rallied around Donald Trump.
There you go.
It is an astonishing moment, right?
He's just freaked out because the techies are leaving the Democratic Party. They're moving over to Trump. As you say, led by Elon Musk. That's exactly right. Erika, on this oligarchs thing, now I happen to like oligarchs myself. I love billionaires, as many as possible. I would like to create far more billionaires than America even has today. But he gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom. This is what a hypocrite is. He gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to two oligarchs, okay? One of them's name is George Soros, and the other one's name is David Rubenstein. Two multi-billionaire oligarchs, okay? So he's just such a darn hypocrite. He has nothing else to say. And by the way, I think his speechwriters probably have already left the building. I think that's probably that's my hunch.
And that wasn't
I think Dana Perino said something like that. I mean, really, this was I know he's bad. His content is always bad. He always lies. He's a hypocrite. But even the speechwriters have left him.
It wasn't the only hypocrisy we heard from Joe Biden. He also said that social media had given up on fact-checking.
Oh,
lest we forget that it's not the fact-checking that they gave up on. It's the government fact-checking and elimination of free speech that they've given up on, thankfully. And the polls show that Americans trust community notes, like what X is doing, and now, thankfully, what Meta is turning to, more than they trust the fact-checkers, for good reason, because Joe Biden and his administration were suppressing free speech. But contrast that with what President Trump has been doing since November 5th. He's been giving press conferences. He has been talking to the American people. He's been transparent about what he's going to do. He has appointed these wonderful nominees, as you've said, who've performed very well, who are all very well qualified and diverse. They represent a wide swath of Americans and American beliefs. So he is continuing past the campaign to do what got him elected. Be transparent with the American people. Let the American people know what he is going to do, how he's going to do it, who is going to be doing it for him. And he's opening himself up to all of these people who are now coming to Mar-a-Lago from around the world and around the country and bringing them into the fold for the golden age of America that is coming next month.
Oh, I love that. By the way, Scott Bessent used that term today on the economy. Emily, you know, it's also interesting. Hegseth was the lead. They threw their best stuff at him. It was all personal stuff, basically uncorroborated, anonymous sources. Pete Hegseth passed, and I think to some extent that deflated what I saw as a coordinated Democratic attempt to take chop his head off first and then go down the line like dominoes and chop everybody off. They failed on Hegseth. He had too much good policy on the new foreign policy, on the recruitment, on getting rid of a woke Defense Department. And then I think Pam Bondi basically finished off the Democrats. She delivered the final punch. It was kind of like a third-round TKO is the way I saw it.
I love that. I love that color commentary. I totally agree. Look, I thought Pete Hegseth was absolutely phenomenal. I don't think I've ever seen, frankly, such a resounding, victorious slay as we did. Because to your point, he was armed with facts, incredible communicative skills, and he stuck to his point and his talking points and did not deviate. So when you read those transcripts in black and white, there is no fluff, there's no rattling that went on between the two. And that's why the Democrats, I think, the mask was revealed as to how vapid and really below the belt their attacks were. Yes, it deflated them, and I think it emboldened as well the other nominees. We have Noam tomorrow now that was rescheduled for 9 a.m. I think they're going to try their best with her. We're going to see, I think, a perhaps weak resurrection zombie style of some personal attacks, and the dog situation they will attempt. But look, they're all going to succeed flying colors, and I think it goes back to arguably the strategy of Matt Gaetz, because he was the largest beast that they were going to attempt to take down, and with him gone, it became Pete, which was...
You really have to ask yourself, though, is this helping the Democrats to have this unbelievably nasty personal attacks on Pete Hegseth?
Think of it from the... I don't mean to interrupt, but I love this. Said it last evening. The average viewer, if anybody's following these things more than we are, the average viewer looks at that and says, what do they think? What about policy? What about the future of America?
What about substance?
What about our defense, our security, our border, and our economic growth and inflation rates? That never comes up.
And these hearings are meant to actually put these people to the test on what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about failing audits every year at the Pentagon? You know, instead of all this woke stuff, I just really feel like they're out of step with what American people want right now.
Is this the death of woke and personal attacks? Seriously. You have to ask yourself, they won't talk about November 5th, right? They're in denial about that. But did woke die in these confirmation hearings? Did personal attacks, phony personal scurrilous attacks die? I got 30 seconds for them to die.
Well, I completely agree that they're not doing themselves any favors with the American people, but also they're doing the Republicans favors with Republicans who may have been on the fence with confirming these candidates. Because how would it look for Murkowski or any of those to align themselves with the Democrats after the ridiculous show that they put on? So I think, you know, regardless of what we want the American people, of course, to see and expose their nonsense, but I think that they've actually pushed the other Republicans onto the side of confirmation, and that's what's going to solidify these nominations.
I think they sure buried woke. That's for darn sure. Thanks, Democrats. Thank you all. Very great stuff. Liz Peek, Erika Donalds, Emily Campagno. You can catch Emily on